Welcome back to another episode of Your Daily Real Estate. I'm Tristan. These episodes are meant to be short, about 5 minutes or so, and they're meant to motivate you and give you actionable steps for your business. Now, this episode is brought to you by brillianttribe.com. Check us out. That's where we have marketing and community building and, of course, coaching to help you get to where you need to get to. Let's get right into this one. And in a group coaching session just 2 days ago, went over a checklist for all of the buyer's agents so that they could go through the most important things when it comes to talking to a buyer on how this all works now, the new process, and really establishing value from the very beginning. So there are 4 parts to this. So today is part 1. And part 1 is simply going to go over, and I have this written down right in front of me. It's what I call phase 1, the preparation. Now, the very first thing I'm thinking of, remember, this is a checklist for me so I don't miss things. The very first thing I'm looking at is this. I have it written down, and it says, how do you want to make them feel? How do you want to make the people in front of you feel? Whether it's a Zoom or in person, I'm thinking, well, I'm a professional. I need to be confident. I need to tackle what's most important to them first. I need to show up my best self. So boom, let's go. Let's do this. Because I'm always thinking they're going to be looking at me for answers. They're going to be looking at me for experience. They're going to be looking at me for everything when it comes to a home. And I want to be there for them. How do I want to make them feel? I want to make them feel great. Like this is going to be an amazing process. That's number 1. Number 2. So this one's a little bit challenging because if I'm going to meet them at a property and they only signed that one property agreement, or maybe it's timed to just today, right? And that's the document that I'm doing first. Then at the property, I'm going to be talking to them about this or setting up an in-person meeting later or a Zoom meeting. I prefer an in-person meeting, but in my case, where I'm at, different parts of our beach community, Malibu, you don't get a lot of people living in their homes all the time. So sometimes it's Zoom. If you're in one of those areas, don't worry. Zoom works great. In fact, I've had quite a few over the last few days, Zoom and in person. So I want you to schedule a meeting and you're going to go over and say, hey, listen, Joe, Joanne, great, you saw this property. Or if you are going to go for the buyer broker agreement from the very beginning, you've got to explain how this is. Joe, Joanne, thank you so much. It's easier with a referral, right? Online leads are a little different. But if you're getting a referral, say, Joe, listen, thank you so much. I think you've heard that the rules have changed a little bit where now you've got to sign this document that you're going to work with me. But before we do that, I really want to meet up and see where you're at. I want to make sure that I'm explaining to you this whole process of purchasing a home, or at least looking at the possibility of what this looks like. And then you set up a time, you're like, great, awesome. Now, when you are in front of them in person or on a Zoom, you're going to have either a presentation or you're going to talk to them. And I've done both. Depending on the person I'm talking to, it's going to be just talking is great. So this checklist is on me. I have a piece of paper and I print it out. Or it's an actual presentation I'm giving to them. And it starts with this. Joe and Joanne, now let's review this home buying process. We're going to go through this whole range. This way you better understand how it is to purchase a home. And I'm in California, so I would say in Southern California. Now, you may have questions, so just ask me at any time, and I may answer some of those towards the end, but I want to make sure that you have a wide range of understanding of what this looks like so that if you do end up purchasing soon, you're aware. And if you don't end up purchasing anything, at least you understand for when you're ready. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. Awesome. So that's number 3. We're reviewing the home buying process. Number 4, I go and say, okay, Joanne, Joe, the very first thing I want to know is what are you looking for? So number 4 for me is I have to identify the must-haves. And I'm going to say things like, so let's go through this. You're looking to be in this community or this city. Do you want to be closer to these schools, or do you want hiking trails, views. We're going to get into a lot of things. And you as a professional listening in, you've done this plenty of times. This doesn't change. So you want to identify what's important to them. Get to know what they love, what their kids love if they've got kids, what dogs they have, and are they going to want to be close to a dog park or not? And everything, as much as you can. That's where you identify the things that are important to them. Next one. It's continued. Next one is then this is the challenge right here for some of you. Some of you it isn't, because I know in Washington and in other states you've been doing this for a long time. And that's you go over the agreement. Like Joe and Joanne, here's the agreement that now we're having all of our customers sign. This is what it looks like. And in it, it's a lot of pages now, but in it explains how our compensation works. Not only our relationship, right? We've got a fiduciary duty, and then you can go into that. You can go how that works. You can compare it to attorneys if you like. I've seen and done that as well. So depending on what you're going to go, but you do want to go over how your compensation works. And the way that we do it is like this, and you can do it however you want, right? And obviously things will change too, but this is how we're doing it. Joe and Joanne, this is how it works. Our goal is to get compensated from the seller of the property that you end up loving. So we're going to negotiate that. Now, if by any chance they're only going to pay a portion of the compensation that I normally charge, the rest of it is going to come back to you. And I'm going to go through everything that we offer, on how we work, on the value that we give, and why it's important to have a real estate agent by your side. But here you go. This is how we work. We'll come back to this at the end. And at that point, I show it to them, and then we come back to it at the end, because now I'm going to go through all the value. Now, I put this in the front because I don't like surprising people, because it's so new. I don't like surprising them with this at the end, right? It's us getting used to it together, because this is new for everyone. It's not like the listing presentation where it pops up sometimes at the end, sometimes it doesn't, but we still bring it up anyway. I don't like surprises. And then what was this? Number 4, number 5, that was 5, sign the agreement. Number 6 is getting your finances in order. And so this is where I go over the different options you've got depending on what you want to do. I've been in business for 20 years, so I can talk about some different types of financing. But if you can't, just say, hey, look, I've got these great people that I work with. I'll connect you with them depending on what you want to do. This is your opportunity to explain how finances work if you know it, or connect them with the right people so they can get pre-approved. That right there is the 6. I call this phase 1. I call this the preparation. There are 3 other phases. Tomorrow is part 2, and that's going into the home search and explaining that. Now, again, this is all so that you have a better understanding for you, so you know how to approach this. There are 4. So you're going to have to listen back to back. If you're catching this one, great, you're on the right one. And if you're listening this to like the 3rd one, start here and then move upwards. All right, so we'll talk again.